Whether you think she's cute and funny or just got her accidentally, let's talk about HuoHuo. If you've seen my shorts, you know I adore this character. She's max invested, just like my links. The only difference is she's not C6. But either way, if you've watched one Abundance character build guide, you've basically watched them all. The only separation and difference to that rule is Luocha. But with that being said, we're gonna start off with light cones because her options are a little bit different. Post-op conversation is usually the one people recommend. The problem with this is even though you get a bunch of energy regeneration rate, the outgoing healing bonus for your ultimate is entirely useless. She does not heal with her ultimate. Instead, you're looking at a couple options. It depends on the superimposition levels of each of these how viable they will become. If you have time waits for no one, yes, you can ignore that additional damage bonus, but the HP and the outgoing healing bonus overall make it a great light cone in addition to the higher base stat. In fact, the base stats on this light cone for HP are higher than her regular signature light cone, if by a bit. But let's say you don't have either of those. What are your options? Shared Feelings is the one people recommend. At superimposition 1, it only gives you 10% outgoing healing bonus and 2 energy for your entire party. However, at superimposition 5, it gives you 20 outgoing healing and 4 energy. This may not sound like a lot, but by comparison, Post-Up Conversation gives you 24% healing only for your ultimate, and Quid Pro Quo gives you 14 energy, at least at superimposition 4, for a random ally below 50%. The lack of control you have on this one means that Shared Feelings is overall better. Even if it's less energy, it's party-wide. And considering HuoHuo's entire job is to help you get your elemental bursts up or ultimates up, this makes sense for her kit. If you don't have that perfect timing no matter what, superimposition 1 or 5 is great strictly because it provides you with utility. Effect resistance is your chance to resist a debuff. Higher effect res is great, and considering the vast majority of you will be building this out because you will likely be running Broken Heal, and considering that in her traces, she has effect resistance to begin with, Perfect Timing is a pretty good option. My personal recommendations are Night of Fright, Time Waits for No One, Shared Feelings, Perfect Timing, and then Post-Op. Post-Op, I will say, is above Quid Pro simply because the reliability of the energy regenerate is still quite nice. Post-Op, Quid Pro Quo specifically, you're getting energy, but you can't control who it's being given to, and I think that is a bit of a downside. If you just want more skill point generation, multiplication works, especially if you want her to be more skill point positive and you don't have Eidolon 1. For relics, I'm going with a Broken Keel, Messenger, and Passerby Wandering Cloud. If you're wondering about my other healers, I have the same thing for my Bily. If you're wondering about links, I have the same thing, except instead of the healer set with Passerby, it is instead Longevous Disciple. At the end of the day, I think this is the best generalist option. If you really want to go for max healing, you can go for the Passerby Wandering Cloud with Longevous Disciple. I wouldn't, because I do believe that the amount of healing she just gives you off the rip are pretty good, especially if you're running a light cone that boosts her healing, whether it's her signature, whether it's Shared Feelings, it doesn't matter. So I would actually recommend Messenger, because as a unit, she's already going. You want your Abundant and your Preservation characters who aren't going to be using their skills to go faster, simply because you want them to generate that skill point quite a lot, especially if you're using skill point hungry characters like Sealing. So with all that being said, Passerby's Wandering Cloud is great, Messenger is good, you can go with Longevous Disciple. A full Passerby set isn't really worthwhile in my opinion. If you want a little bit more damage, you can go for Musketeers as per usual, and I do think a lot of you will just farm that in general, so it's a nice option. But overall, she doesn't really have much use. It's Abundance character. Additional damage doesn't make sense when the damage is only 100. So I honestly just recommend sticking to either Musketeer set, Passerby, Longevous, and Messenger. 4-piece Messenger does work because her ultimate is affecting her allies, but the 12% speed bonus can mess with speed tuning because it's based on your base speed, which for her is 98, but for other characters you may have higher speed. It's 102 for Arlen, so he's going to be moving faster than your Abundance character because that 12% speed means more for him than her. For the planar sets, you can go with Broken Keel. A lot of people will, but you also have the newer sets. Pinakani is additional energy regeneration rate, and it gives you damage for other wind characters, but the only other ones we have as of right now are Danhang, Blade, and that's really it. I won't really talk about other units like Bronya because she's not dealing damage, and so you're solely looking at Blade and Danhang, and I don't really think these are individual characters who you're wanting to boost up strictly because Blade's ultimate isn't the primary focus of his kit. And if you're wondering about that, you would just use Lynx, who can increase his likelihood of being attacked and his HP, which is more damage. If you want to go for more healing, Fleet of the Ageless is nice. The additional HP is quite nice, but I do believe that for general use purposes, effect resistance is far better, which is why I recommend Broken Keel. For main stats, outgoing healing boost, speed boots, HP, energy regeneration rate. I comfortably can say that effect resistance, or at least the subsets you want to look for, are speed and effect resistance. HP is nice and defense isn't too bad for tankiness, but I honestly would recommend, if you're like me, just focusing on speed and effect res. My HuoHuo has 158 speed, I want to get it to 160 and 35 effective res. I would prioritize more effect resistance, but considering I would prioritize more effect resistance, but considering I use her with Fu Xuan, who already does give chances to resist debuffs, I don't think it's necessary, and considering she can dispel debuffs, it's kind of a moot point. For Eidolons, E1 is the one you want to stop at. It's good, it's additional talent generations, it's additional speed, it allows you to be more skill point positive. E2, it's a revive. I'm going to be honest, revives are essentially not too useful. Your Bailu has one, your Fu Xuan E2 gives you one, but speaking bluntly, the vast majority of you, if you are already dying to the extent to where you need a revive, you likely weren't going to complete the stage anyway, unless you're at the very end, you just get bad luck. But with this, unlike characters like Fu Xuan, in that her E2 provides your entire team with a chance to revive, this is something like Bailu's, wherein it's one character, and the results of that being, there's a chance that if your whole team gets party wiped, she won't revive the right one. Now, I'm not saying it's likely, but I am saying it could happen, especially since certain characters have odd targeting priorities. Like for instance, your Ting Yun is always going to try and buff your Blade, despite your Blade not being the one you want to get buffed. So as a result, hypothetically speaking, if you're running a team with Jing Liu and Blade goes down, as well as Jing Liu, characters might target him over her. And that's just dependent on which one you actually need to clear that stage out. E4 is additional healing. I don't think she needs it. I honestly think she's an E1 or E6 character. Outside of that, it's not too useful. But you can go either way. I personally recommend E1 over her signature just because she has so many other great options. I went for her signature strictly because the art is super cute. For team comps, I have a lot of teams, and for the vast majority of them, I don't need her. But as you see, I run her quite a lot. I like this team personally. Bronny's ultimate benefits the entire party's damage output. Fu Xuan gives her the addition of revive and healing effect, so even if HuoHuo's healing isn't enough, Fu Xuan's additional healing helps out quite a lot. And Jing Liu's additional ultimate states mean that she can stay in her ult or her transfiguration state much longer. So as a result, this team works out. With every other team, it's great. With Den Heng and Baba Lunai, his ultimate means he gets stacks, so stacks means he can use his skill point or his basic attack at maximum capacity without using as many skill points, so it's great. Yu Kong's ultimate means she can buff up, and the same thing applies with Fu Xuan. With every other team, it works. Silverwolf, a debuff is applied. Fu Xuan, the healing and the same thing is applied. Your Sealy, the exact same thing is applied. She deals more damage, which additional resurgence procs is a possibility. Yanqing, he gets an additional crit damage buff. Pela, she gets an additional chance to reduce defenses. Japard, more shields. Overall, just a great team. She fits anywhere. Now, her energy regeneration isn't exactly going to be, extremely good. It's not going to be life-changing. It's not your Ting Yuns. It's not your other characters like Yu Kong, but it's good. And I think it's not necessarily going to be the make or break like a Fu Xuan could be or a Japard, but I do think it's good enough to warrant pulling for her, especially if you like her design. For me, I enjoy her design, I like her character, I like her voice actor, so I pull. Either way, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, leave a like down below, and I will see you next time.